Hey, I'm Dr. Hilary, clinical psychologist and mom of three, and today I'm going to walk you through the exact three-phase system that's helped hundreds of exhausted parents end the daily meltdown cycle in 8 weeks or less without punishments, bribes, or empty threats, and even if you've already tried everything and nothing has worked. This is the same process that helped Laura and Dave end their 12-year-old son's daily aggressive meltdowns in just 2 weeks after years of punishment-based parenting that wasn't working. It's what helped Anna and Josh go from being convinced that something was seriously wrong with their 3-year-old to watching her thrive and actually enjoying her again. And it's what helped Emily, who felt like she was her 5-year-old son's literal punching bag, finally be able to say the aggression is just gone. Now, in the next few minutes, I'm gonna walk you through the exact system. This is the same system that I used to end the cycle of constant meltdowns and dysregulation in my own home, and that I've now used to help hundreds of families do the same in 8 weeks or less. But first, let me show you what it looks like for real families to actually end the meltdown cycle. Brogan and Eric's 5-year-old had broken every single bar stool in their home. They literally called him a hurricane because when he'd get mad, something would almost always get destroyed. 4 weeks into working together, Eric told me, "I literally can't remember the last time I had something thrown at me." And for that level of daily chaos to just be gone from our lives is wild. Kate was a single mom suffering through 2-hour-long meltdowns after daycare every day with her 2-year-old. She'd read every parenting book she could find, and she felt like she was doing all the things the books suggested. She was connecting with her daughter, she was validating her feelings. But once I helped Kate see what she was missing, she described the change as night and day. The meltdowns after daycare, they'd last 2 minutes instead of 2 hours, or they wouldn't happen at all. And now her daughter names her feelings and actually accepts her mom's comfort. Kelsey and Cody had a 4-year-old with medical trauma and twin toddlers. Their daughter's last therapist had told them their situation was hopeless, that their daughter would just always be constantly dysregulated. But within just a few weeks, they saw the meltdowns getting shorter and less intense until eventually they were just gone. It's been 2 years now since they implemented this system, and all 3 kids are thriving. Kelsey told me the other day she's having so much fun, just enjoying her kids. Life-changing stuff, right? Okay, so if you're watching this, I'm guessing your life does not look much like what you imagined it would when you became a parent. You probably pictured Saturday morning pancakes and laughing together and reading books at bedtime and sweet snuggles, not meltdowns over the wrong color spoon. Not dreading school pickup, not whispering, "What is wrong with my kid?" into your pillow at night. I know that version of parenting well because I've lived it. Before I became a mom, I worked as a psychologist with some of the most traumatized, difficult to connect with kids out there in residential treatment centers and therapeutic schools. I loved that work and I was good at it. I prided myself on the fact that I could build a connection with any child, even the kids that others had given up on. I could stay calm when they called me every curse word in the book. So when I became a mom, I thought parenting would come naturally. I thought for sure I'd be the calm, confident parent who always knew what to do. Spoiler alert, I was not. My oldest was a deeply feeling emotionally intense toddler, and I was not prepared for how much that would trigger and challenge me every single day. I'll never forget this one afternoon when I took him to lunch with a friend during his nap time thinking he could hang. Instead, he had a massive meltdown in the line, like before we even placed our order. I was so embarrassed, triggered, and overwhelmed. I remember buckling him into his car seat with so much anger. And that night I cried myself to sleep, wondering what was wrong with me. Me, a child psychologist who couldn't manage her own kid. And maybe the hardest part, I was a deeply feeling sensitive kid myself. I knew exactly what it was like to feel like my emotions were too big, too much. And I did not want my son growing up carrying that same weight, believing that his feelings made him too much for the people who loved him the most. So I knew I had to do things differently. I went back to everything I knew about attachment, child development, and neuroscience, and I started building an approach that worked with my child's intense emotions instead of against them. And through years of trial and error, I found my way forward. A few years later, I opened my own private therapy practice, and I had a lot of kids coming in who were emotionally intense, having huge meltdowns over tiny things, moods that drained their whole family, hitting, kicking, screaming, refusing to listen, screaming "I hate you" at their parents. Now, at first, I did what I was trained to do. I did play therapy. But I quickly noticed a really frustrating pattern. These kids would hold it together in my therapy office just like they did at school. And meanwhile, their parents were texting me videos of the meltdowns that were still happening at home every single day. And then one day, while I was helping my own son through a tough moment at home, it hit me. Of course, nothing was changing for these families. Here I was trying to teach their kids emotion regulation skills in an hour a week, but their parents had no idea how to support them the other 167 hours. And checking in with the parents for 5 minutes before or after the session was not enough. So I shifted how I worked with families and started requiring parent sessions alongside child therapy. And that is where the magic happened. Families who'd been struggling for years started seeing real transformation in weeks. I started hearing things like, I have a totally different kid. What did you do? Eventually, I realized I didn't need to work directly with the kids at all. So I stopped seeing kids altogether and I built a system for helping parents directly. Because it turns out the fastest, most effective way to help a child is to empower their parents. Now, most of the parents I work with started out exactly where you probably are right now. Good parents, doing their best, feeling like failures because every day starts with good intentions and ends in a shame spiral. These parents didn't need more strategies or another Instagram hack. They needed someone to show them what was really going on and how to shift it for good. My mission is to help loving parents like you end the cycle of meltdowns, frustration, and disconnection so your child grows up confident from the inside out, resilient to life's stressors, deeply connected to you, and never, ever feels like too much for the people who love them most. Now, you've probably heard all the standard advice. Be more consistent, try timeouts, use a sticker chart, validate their feelings, get on their level, be stricter, no, be more lenient, just ignore them. And none of it has worked, right? Not really. Maybe you've pieced together tips from podcasts and Instagram reels at 1 a.m. trying desperately to figure this out on your own. And even as you're scrolling, part of you knows you won't find your way out of the meltdowns in a 30-second reel. But you keep scrolling anyway because maybe you'll find something that helps even a little bit. Maybe you've even taken your child to therapy, but they hold it together perfectly in the therapist's office, just like they do at school. Meanwhile, you're still living in a war zone at home. Here's what I need you to hear. It's not your fault. You haven't failed. You've just been given the wrong roadmap. Here's what I believe and what drives everything I do. You did not become a parent to walk on eggshells. You didn't sign up to dread bedtime or flinch when your child walks into the room. You did it for the snuggles, the laugh until it hurts moments, the joy of knowing you're raising a human who feels safe, strong, and deeply known, and who knows how to love others like that too. And you deserve to actually experience that. Not someday, not when they grow out of it, now. You deserve real peace in your home, real connection with your child, and the confidence that you're not screwing them up. You don't have to white knuckle through this. You don't have to yell and then regret it. And you definitely don't have to outsource it to a therapist who sees your kid for an hour a week while you're still struggling through the other 167. So here's the real problem. It's not your child and it's not you. It's that you're stuck on the same cycle on repeat. Your child melts down, you try to hold it together, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but either way, everyone ends up feeling terrible and then tomorrow it happens all over again. But here's what no one's told you. Every time you try to stop the meltdown, every time you push through it or beg them just to take a deep breath or desperately will it to be over, your child is picking up on something you don't even realize you're communicating. They're picking up on the fact that their big feelings aren't safe. So they start holding it in. And that doesn't work because none of us can hold our emotions in forever. So your child holds it in until they can't. And boom, meltdown. They explode even bigger than the day before. The meltdowns aren't happening because you're not trying hard enough. They're happening because the way you were taught to handle emotions, the way most of us were taught, is actually making the meltdowns worse. And nothing you've tried has been able to break that cycle because you've never had a system designed to actually do that. There are 3 reasons most families stay stuck. First, they don't have a clear plan, just random tips and strategies thrown at the wall to see what sticks. Second, most parents can't actually regulate themselves. So even when they know what to do, they can't follow through in the moment. Like they know they shouldn't yell, and yet they yell anyway, and then they feel awful about it. Third, they have no system for making changes stick. So even when something works for a few days, old patterns creep back in and nothing truly changes. Sound familiar? That was every single one of my clients before they learned a better way. Let me show you what that better way looks like. I want to tell you about Tanya. Tanya is a single mom of 3. Her 10-year-old daughter was a talented competitive dancer and a model student. But at home, the meltdowns and constant preteen moods held the entire family hostage. It got so bad that Tanya was seriously researching boarding schools because she didn't think she could handle her. When I met Tanya, she was saying all the right things. I can see that you're so upset right now. And she was so frustrated because it wasn't helping. One night she sent me an audio recording of herself responding to her daughter's meltdown, to show me that she was in fact saying all the right things. And when I asked her to listen back to that audio, she had an aha moment. She told me, I don't sound empathic at all. I sound stressed and over it. No wonder she doesn't feel safe sharing her emotions with me. That was her turning point. And it's a perfect example of where we start. Because Tanya's issue wasn't that she needed more strategies. She needed to get herself regulated first. This brings me to the system. I call it the chaos to connection framework, and it has 3 phases. First, we start with your nervous system. Now, this is where most approaches get it wrong. They hand you a bunch of strategies and say, do this when your kid melts down. But here's the problem. If you're triggered, you can't access any of that. Your body is in fight or flight mode, whether you want it to be or not. And so no amount of knowing the right thing to say matters. So we start with you. We help you recognize your triggers and rewire the patterns from your own childhood that are running the show without you knowing it. You know those hidden beliefs like good kids always listen, or if I were a better parent, my child wouldn't act like this. Those beliefs make you explode even though you know better. And as we uncover these beliefs and rewire your knee-jerk patterns, something really important happens. You start to see your child's behavior through a completely different lens. So instead of thinking my kid is being so defiant or what's wrong with my child, you start to understand that all this tough behavior stems from unmet needs or missing skills. And that shift from my kid is giving me a hard time to my kid is having a hard time changes everything about how you respond. And here's the thing, it's not just knowing that, right? You might already know intellectually that your child is not giving you a hard time, sitting here watching this outside the heat of the moment. But in the moment when your child is screaming in your face that they hate you, that's where we really need to help you not just know that, but embody it. Next, we help you decode your child's behavior to understand what your child actually needs from you, and just as importantly, what they don't. Because right now, I can guarantee you are pouring energy into things that aren't even your job, things that are making parenting harder and draining you, while missing out on the things that would actually move the needle with your child. And once you understand the difference, it's like a weight lifts. You can let go of so much. We also help you break out of the disconnection cycle. Where your child melts down, you get frustrated, they feel your frustration, and they act out more going forward. We show you how to build real connection, sometimes in just 10 to 30-second interactions, instead of hours of forced one-on-one time that just ends in a meltdown anyway. So by the end of this phase, you've stopped reacting and started actually responding. Your child can feel your genuine calm, not you white-knuckling through your feelings. And because you understand what they actually need, the meltdowns are already happening less in the first place. This is exactly what shifted for Tanya. Once she stopped reciting scripts, forcing empathy that wasn't really there, and actually learned to regulate herself, she completely transformed her relationship with her daughter. By the end of our 8 weeks, she looked forward to picking her up from carpool. She enjoyed spending the weekends watching her dancing competitions instead of dreading the inevitable "my dance wasn't perfect" meltdowns. And boarding school never came up again. Her daughter actually asked if she could reach out to me and thank me. You can listen to our conversation on my podcast. She told me, "I thought I wasn't supposed to have feelings, but now I know that we all have feelings, and now my mom actually knows how to help me with mine." Now in the next phase, because you know how to regulate yourself, the strategies can actually work. So we take my GROW method, which is my step-by-step framework for exactly what to do when your child goes from 0 to 60 over practically nothing, and we implement it in your real life with your specific child. Because knowing a framework and using it when your kid is screaming "I hate you" and hitting their sibling are completely different things. So we help you see exactly when to move through the steps faster, when to slow down, when your child needs space versus connection, when to set a boundary, how firm or gentle to be based on what just happened. You bring us your exact situations, your Tuesday evening meltdown, your bedtime battle, your grocery store disaster, and we help you figure out exactly how to handle each one. No more generic advice that doesn't quite fit your kid. And here's what's wild. You might actually end up doing some of the same things you're already doing, but the difference is now you're doing them with real confidence instead of constantly second-guessing yourself, because your kid can feel that. So that changes everything. This is what happened with Amanda. She was already doing so many of the right things, connecting, validating feelings, trying so hard to understand her 6-year-old daughter, but the hitting and the screaming and the "I hate yous" would not stop. Within a few weeks of working closely together, Amanda told me the hitting is gone. Like, I literally can't remember the last time she hit me. But what surprised Amanda most wasn't even that the hitting stopped. She told me, "I didn't realize how disconnected I'd gotten from my daughter. It had become a chore to be together. And now, seeing how loving she is, I have so much more joy towards her. And I didn't even realize that that was something we were missing." So then we moved to phase 3. You know how to regulate yourself. You have the strategies. Now we make it last. This is where we future-proof everything. We teach your child the emotion regulation skills they're missing, but not through lectures or begging them to take deep breaths. Because here's what most people don't realize. When you sit your child down after a meltdown and you try to talk to them about what happened and how it's not okay for them to act like that, they're not learning. They're drowning in shame. Shame is that "I'm a bad kid" feeling, and it completely blocks your child from learning anything. So your well-intentioned lesson just reinforces the thing they're most afraid of, that they're too much, that something is wrong with them. So instead, we teach emotion regulation skills through fun, playful interaction. Play is literally your child's language, and it bypasses shame completely, allowing your child to practice handling big feelings in calm moments without shame or pressure. So they actually learn skills like recognizing when they're they're getting dysregulated, asking for help, or taking a break when they're overloaded. And this is why things like creating a calm down corner or telling your child 1,000 times to just take a deep breath next time they feel like hitting never ever works. But a 5-minute game can actually make it click in a way your child can use. Remember Emily, the mom who felt like a punching bag? This is exactly what she did with her 5-year-old son. Now, Emily's a high school psychology teacher, so she understood child development intellectually, but knowing it and living it at home with your own kid, two totally different things, right? So I showed her how to teach her son how to handle big feelings through play, practicing in calm moments so the skills were actually there when he needed them. Once she learned how to connect with him through fun, playful interactions instead of relying on lectures about coping skills, the hitting stopped completely. We also teach you how to repair after hard moments, because you're human and you're going to mess up sometimes. But here's what's amazing. When you learn how to repair the right way, your mistakes actually strengthen your relationship. So you end up net positive. Your child learns that the people who love them can mess up and come back around. And you model self-compassion instead of perfectionism. You also rewrite the narrative around your mistakes. Because without repair, kids are gonna blame themselves when a parent yells. They think, my mom lost it because I'm bad. I must have done something wrong for my dad to yell like that. Real repair completely rewrites that narrative. We also teach you how to de-shame your communication so that your sensitive child who already feels so much shame feels safe, seen, and understood, even when you're setting limits. This is how you build lifelong trust, the kind where years from now, when your teenager is facing something scary, like say there's alcohol at a party and they need a ride home, their first thought is, I can call my mom or I can call my dad. By week 8, here's what your life actually looks like. You're not doom scrolling parenting reels at 1 a.m. anymore because you don't need to. You know what you're doing. When you lay your head on your pillow at night, you feel real peace, not the dread of, am I messing up my kid? You're actually having fun with your child again. You can see their spark, that light in their eyes that gets buried under all the chaos. The meltdowns, gone. Or if you've got a child who's young enough where some meltdowns are still developmentally appropriate, so 2, 3, 4, 5, those meltdowns might happen, but they are few and far between and they're over fast. The aggression, totally gone. You and your partner are finally on the same page. No more fighting about how to handle the meltdowns. Oh, and that easy sibling, the one who never seemed to need anything from you, they're actually sharing their emotions now too. So you're no longer lying awake at night wondering if they're just stuffing it all down, secretly and silently suffering. And most importantly, you have a parenting framework that works whether your kid is 2 or 22, so that you know you're raising a kid who's resilient to life stressors and who actually wants to come home and visit when they're grown. And this isn't something you can figure out alone. The reason families get results this quickly is because they are never stuck wondering, how does this apply to my kid in this moment? You bring us what's happening in your house in real time, the real, messy, specific stuff, and we iterate with you until it clicks. You're supported every single step of the way by me directly and by a wonderful team of people who've been exactly where you are and know exactly how to get you where you want to go. And that's why this system works, even for families who've tried everything else, like Nick and Kelsey. They couldn't leave each other alone with their 5-year-old neurodivergent son. Solo parenting was impossible because the meltdowns were so intense and they had tried everything to fix them. A few weeks into the program, Kelsey took a business trip and everything at home was fine. Their son also stopped saying, I hate you in week 2. And it's been over a year now and he still hasn't said it. And at his most recent well check, his pediatrician asked them, what are you doing differently? Because you have a totally different kid. Remember Anna and Josh? They were actually on a psychiatrist wait list to start their 3-year-old on anti-anxiety meds before they met me. That's how desperate they were to figure out how to help their daughter and end her hours-long meltdowns. They had taken her to 3 different therapists who diagnosed her with multiple different disorders, none of which she actually even met criteria for anymore after her parents applied this system. Her dad said she's just a regular kid, which is huge considering her parents lost so much sleep, worried about how she'd do in life if things didn't change. And Cody, the dad with the twin toddlers and a 4-year-old whose last therapist told them the situation was hopeless, told me a few months after completing the program, it truly would have been worth anything to get from where we were to where we are now. And that's what's possible for your family too. So here's where we are. I know you're tired of trying to piece this together on your own, and I say this with so much love, but if you could solve this on your own, you would have by now. It's like how Nick told me, I would have kicked that can down the road forever if Kelsey hadn't insisted that we do this, and we would still be suffering through daily meltdowns. But that won't be you. You're watching this because you are ready for something that actually works. So if you're done white knuckling through every day, here's your next step. I want to invite you to book a free breakthrough session with my team. This is a 45-minute Zoom call where we're going to get so clear on what's happening in your family, what's keeping you stuck, and whether this system is the right fit for your family. And I want to be really clear about something. If we are not 100% confident that we can help you end the meltdown cycle in 8 weeks or less, we will not invite you into our program. We are very protective of our results and our community, and we only work with families we know we can help. So here's my promise to you. If we're not the right fit to help you break free from the cycle of constant meltdowns, we will point you in the right direction. That might be an evaluation. It might be parent therapy. But either way, you're going to leave this free call with your next steps to breaking free from the meltdown cycle as quickly as possible. One important note, if you're parenting with a partner, please bring them to the call. We really do need both parents there. We need you both on the same page because our system works best when you're in it together. So that's it. That's how we help families just like yours end the constant meltdowns in 8 weeks or less without relying on punishments, bribes, yelling, or any of those parenting strategies that don't feel good, and even if nothing has worked. If that's what you want, click the link, fill out the short application, pick your time, and let's get your family unstuck. You've got the invitation. Now all that's left is to take that next step towards peace, connection, and actually enjoying your child again. It does not have to be this hard. We'll see you on the call.